took a little bit of damage the other night we had her out, but that's all gonna change. This thing will probably never look like this again. Probably gonna be controversial what I'm gonna do to it, but it's gotta happen. Back in the shop it goes for some serious facelift. All right, we got her in the shop. It is going to be off with the fenders. I think I'm gonna cut it right along that line and get rid of the fender completely, because we're gonna have to do some big steel inner fender wells, and with them sticking out like that, they just get in the way and they hit stuff. So we're going to delete all that, and then there's gonna be a solid steel that's flat all the way along here to connect to the toolbox. So then any sticks that get caught up in the tracks, they get caught between the cleats and they end up going up in here. And on the last job we had one that took out the hood that got caught and they spin around, and the last thing I needed was to spin around and smash up this, which it would, or get into the engine bay and take out a fuel line or electrical. So we're gonna build basically kind of a piece that comes out, not much, a little bit as a step, and also a big skid plate. So when sticks come up, it doesn't blow through up into the cab or into the engine bay. But to do that, we have to delete the fenders. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but it is what it is and it's gotta happen. I guess if it does look like crap, we gotta do something. I could put a normal bullnose forward front clip on it with a normal hood, but I kind of like the opening forward hood just for access. And then there'll be steel up in there, kind of up at an angle to protect everything, all 1/4 inch plate. And then we'll have to reroute the exhaust out the back like I want. I guess that's just gonna have to be how it's gonna be. There'll be removable inner fender wells that are steel for maintenance reasons, but yeah, the fenders are gonna have to go. The back, I kind of like that, probably just leave it alone. I could box in the bottoms, but I don't think that's a good idea because it's just gonna trap mud. And at least like that, I can get a pressure washer in there and get it washed out. But definitely needs steps and protectors for the bottom of the cab, a little bit of wiring that's down there, and obviously the engine bay, coolant hoses, tranny lines, everything. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, we did it. One side is cut off. So we went from looking like that to cutting the fender off to being more of a streamlined shape, which I think is 1,000 times better. It's got plastic inner fender wells, which then will be removed. Then we can cap that nice and smooth, so it's all one shape. And like I said, we're gonna run the step around. It's kind of like a catwalk. It goes all the way around the front, because if you're deep in the mud and water, you don't want to have to get and walk in the water. So kind of like a catwalk, steel pipe comes around the front, with that wide in the front. Expanded metal, easy to wash. Probably still plate and then expanded metal for traction, because we don't want sticks coming through it, but it's kind of what we're going with. It actually looks way better than I thought it was going to. So we're trying to keep these little divots here. I gotta trim out this better, but I kind of want to put like a LED bar light right there on both sides, so it kind of looks a little more formal and like it's meant to be. But I really like how that looks. I was really rolling the dice on it, but definitely better. Okay, I got this trimmed up a little better and the inner fender well's taken out. I'm not gonna use the plastic because it'll just break. I figured I'd show you how I got to where I wanted to cut it, because I kind of either have like a round pipe that kind of sit right in here. So when the hood closes, it gets between this, and the pipe kind of sits here. Then I'll have a backer. It's like a pipe that comes along kind of in here, and an inner fender well that's steel that kind of fits into this. Not sure how that's gonna work, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I still want this part of the inner fender well to flip up with the hood. But I just had to laugh here when I marked that line. I gotta block it out so it's straight, because you can tell it's got a little wave in it. But I just did it with Sawzall, but I have to mark this one similar. So I marked that one with a piece of angle iron. I just went up here, kind of matched where the line is, split the difference on the curve, and just drug it along and left a nice little scratch mark. So then I can throw a pen marker on it and cut it out to match. Just a little simple trick came up with, but it'll work good. Like I said, we'll just block it out with a block to get it nice and straight. Just honestly, piece of steel with some sandpaper, nothing crazy. And then I left this inner fender well flange because I'll probably run steel plate off of it, bolted, so it fits nice in here. And maybe some sort of pipe edge that'll kind of weld in, so it'll stay there, kind of taper it into it. Maybe body filler, maybe not, probably not, just because it'll crack, but kind of get a better look. Yeah, actually I really like how that looks. Much better, not so big truck like. So when it's all said and done, it looks like it belongs and doesn't look like some hack in a garage put it together. So I think it'll turn out pretty good. Much better than the full fender. It's kind of ugly. That was my biggest problem, is trying to get it to look decent. But I think this will be the good trick. All right, it's currently about 9 o'clock at night. Had to do some actual work today. This is kind of what I got going. Gonna probably fiberglass body filler to get that to kind of smoothen out. I'll probably leave that bump out just because and smooth the top. I'll trim this lip off, body fill it, fiberglass it, take the bolts out, weld the holes shut, or probably weld the bolts, cut the heads off so they're still through there. Heat stretched this a little bit so it's got a good contour to it. Body lines are lining up still. Obviously the hood shifted over a little bit, but overall pretty decent looking, even in rough form. So now I got this one marked out. Hopefully the holes are similar, so I just traced it, plaz it out, and get it mounted on the opposite side. I'm assuming should be pretty similar, flip-flopped, but I guess we will see. I think it will be. Otherwise, this turned out pretty good, and it's kind of the look we're going for. Some fiberglass and body filler, I think it'll look pretty good. Keep plugging away, see if I can get this other side on tonight, and then continue forward. No fancy tools around here, just simplicity. It's kind of like eyeball everything and hope it works. And it usually does, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Trying to massage this thing so it's got a little bend in it so it fits. Otherwise, if I cut it with pressure against it, the hood and the quarter panel will never fit. So if I heat it up and get it to fit before I cut it with no load against it, it will fit together nicely. I shouldn't have to do any bending. So that's the goal with finessing this thing into shape. All right. That was enough of that. It's about 10:30. I got the front end shaped in kind of how I want it. I got these on, massaged the metal out a little bit. Still needs a little bit more just because it ain't sitting totally free. It's just got a little load on that. But I mean, I would say that turned out pretty freaking sweet. First time doing anything like this. I'm not a body man, zero body experience, but hell, this is the best way to learn on something that really doesn't matter. But little trimming down there. Trim off the lip. I'm gonna do that once I fasten that and cut it, then I'll trim the lip. But I would say it turned out pretty freaking sweet. Come back here. I mean, that isn't that bad. A little fiberglass, a little body filler. Turned out slick. Like I said, I'm gonna do like a full catwalk that goes all the way around. So it'll stick out the front, probably about there, lower bumper, catwalk, which will be fastened to the framework. So when I remove the top ever if I remove the top ever, it comes with the top. So about 14 inches or so, and it'll come all the way around, kind of V in down here and attached to here. So I have like a walkway around it. If you're ever in deep mud, you can walk all the way around the front of the machine. Then on the catwalk, it will have another plate, plate on the bottom, then a plate that sits right along here. It drops down on the catwalk. So when you close the hood, it totally seals up everything. So no sticks, debris, or anything can get up in the engine bay. And like I said, when you remove the cab frame, boom, the catwalk comes with it, so it'll all just pick off. Then the lower will beat all together, but boy, there's a shit ton of work. But it's here, it's done, and I won't have to do it again. I just can't get over how good it turned out. I could have used fiberglass to fill in the holes, like just sheets of fiberglass or something, but I want it to be super strong, so steel it is. And like I said, just a little trimming down here, kind of smoothing it over. The other side needs floorboards and rocker panels, which I do have them already. I just haven't got to that yet. But if you can see, the floor is just, let's see if I can open this. Oh, look, it still opens. Yeah, totally shot. Like I said, I already have the floorboards and the rockers. Probably get away with the cab corners. Don't want to go crazy. It's not a show truck, but it is going to look good. Because if I put my name on it, it's going to be the best of my ability. What a fucking beast. She's coming along. And then back here, I do have a tow bar for it. So either I'm going to put the mounts on here so then I can tow things and have adjustable height on the tow bar. And it'll actually have pivot this way too a little bit, which would be really good for uneven terrain. So I'm not sure if I'm mount there or just build a little tee off of here. See, the thing is, if I mount it off here, it'll be better because I don't have to worry about it moving and have some sort of apparatus. So I'll probably actually mount it off here. Here. Make it drop into a little pocket there so it holds up. A little bit in the way of the D-rings, but I think if I use this, spin this and have it spread out enough, the D-rings will still be accessible. Plus the tow bar will be easy to get to. So that's probably the route it'll go. These will be extended out a little bit. It'll be hooked in here. Tow bar will flip up, land into a notch up there. D-ring's still accessible. So that should be that. Actually, be pretty slick. So that's probably how that will go. Like I said, big gamble cutting the fenders off, but boy, I think it's gonna be the best case. It's gonna look slick. Probably won't be painted for a long time, but at least it'll be looking right. I just throw some primer on it, probably a little body filler primer, call it a day. Or I'll get really ambitious and take it all apart and blast it and do the whole 9. But I don't see that happening super soon, but it definitely could. So it's about 11 o'clock tonight. I'm gonna call her a night and get back to it another day when I have time. I think it turned out pretty slick though. Okay, it's the next day. I pulled up some of the floorboards in this thing, the matting insulation, and obviously, as you can tell, she's shot. I don't want to go crazy with it. I'm not taking out the gas pedal or the seat. This seems pretty decent. Actually, it's good. So I'm gonna trim out that, trim out this. My floorboard kit I bought didn't come with this piece, so I'll just have to splice it in on my own. I might just do something with that. I don't really want to get into this stuff. So we're gonna trim it out the best we can. Pop in an inner rocker, outer rocker, a little bit of floor pan. I don't know, that doesn't even look like it works right, but we'll figure it out. Maybe it fits somewhat up here. Cab corner's good enough, solid. I'm not gonna mess with it. So brand new. Let's see how this goes. First time ever doing this, so good thing it's on something that's not very important. So a few days have passed. Been too busy to work on this thing, Got the floor pan kind of welded in the best I really want to put into it, and the rocker and the inner rocker. It's kind of about as good as I'm gonna get it. I just folded up the rubber floor mat, so I'll just maybe throw a little paint on it, then put the floor mat back down, and we have a floor again. It was very rusty, so I think this is much better than it was, and it is good enough for what it is. I gotta patch up a little bit down there yet, but like I said, I cut that so I can kind of fold it back in and maybe glue it or something so it still has a rubber floor mat. But that's what that is gonna be. Scored pretty big here. Set of aluminum sill plates for the floorboards that seal this. This was plastic sill plate. Found these aluminum ones in the back on an old truck, so it pays to keep junk around. These trim plates will be quite a bit nicer to hold down the door trim, and they'll last longer. So use what you got. No reason to buy new stuff. Okay, so you'll see what I did here. These are the little panels between the cab and the hood. I'm gonna cut this probably at an angle somewhere like that, but then this piece needs to be supported. Right now I just have it screwed here so I know where to trim it so it's flush. And then this will be fiberglassed into the hood. But I had to put, these are the factory bolt holes for the inner fender well that is non-existent now. So I put a little piece of flat bar in there, like that. And then I'll tack weld it to that inner part. And then probably fasten this to here. And then plus when the bottom comes in, see here. When the bottom comes in through here, it'll have a plate that meshes to this with like the flush and then to the board. So it's all boxed in. So I don't necessarily have to fasten this to here because this will be fastened to the base so that no sticks can get in here because it'll be all capped off. But put that in there to support the fiberglass, and that'll get welded. And then this lip will get trimmed off just like this through here, just like that. And then I'll have to fill that in with something. So that's kind of how that's sitting. This needs to be readjusted, but once that is on its own, it'll be easy to adjust. Kind of neat, I thought so, using the factory holes. Okay, we got some hood latches on this thing. The hood trimmed so it'll open. We're gonna fiberglass it from the back side, probably body fill over the front, cut the heads of the bolts off, smooth it out. Not gonna be soon, but it's gonna happen. I ended up getting the tow bar on and welded up. No finish grinding, no none of that. I gotta get this thing out of the shop. So there's the tow bar. Should work pretty slick. And I got these big tie backs that I put on the back of the chassis. Which turned out pretty good for just repurposing them. I gotta put a lid on there yet, not gonna happen today. Or probably in this video. Got the door back on it. Rockers on, looking pretty good. Door pins are a little loose, so it ain't gonna line up super great. Body lines to be continued on that, but the hood will open. It's got latches, it's got a seam. Can't really do any body line adjustment till I get the lower part on. But at this point, we can try the tow bar, because that's all solid welded. Still pretty temporary as far as like what it looks like, rough edges and everything, but we're gonna go hook it up to my skid loader from the back and see if it'll dead drag it. It should. I've done it with my other one. The goal here is if you have to go out in the woods and there's a dead machine, won't run, you can drag it out of the woods with this versus anything else. So tow bar, you can just hook it off the tow hooks on the back of the skid, hook her up and put her in gear, and away you go. So we will give it a whirl and see if that's how it's gonna work. So let's get this thing out of the shop. Oh man, it looks good, man. Looking way better than before, I think. Turned out sweet. Let's get this thing outside and give her a whirl. Probably should pull the dust off it too. Okay, we got it out of the shop. Never mind the wind, it's real gusty out today. there's the tow bar that we got on there. I think it's gonna work pretty good. Should work good. Dragging in cars and whatnot, pickups, or anything that hooks to it. Little side profile on it. And I can still extend it out and fold it up above so it clears the D-rings for winching between. Just kind of built this little plate off the back. Seems like it'll probably work pretty good. Then here's another look at the front outside. I think it's 1,000 times better. This is probably all we're gonna get for a video here today on it. Been working on it on and off a bunch, just trying to get it to a better position before I leave on vacation. But at least it's usable and out of the garage. That's the main thing. Apparently winter decided to come back and it's freezing cold, so the truck's got to go back inside and this can go out. But a lot of progress. The tow bar was huge to get that on there. And I also got these D-rings on the back. Really nice tiebacks to the chassis. A little stubborn for tying it down in the trailer or winching against. So you get a low pull and a hard pull on the chassis versus pulling so hard on that. Should be pretty good, just repurpose them. I noticed we got some rubbing in here, so this thing's maxing out. That's limiting my brakes a little bit for steering. It's good that it has a limiter so I don't wreck anything, although I think I'm gonna notch it out a little bit more so it steers a little bit better in reverse. Forward it steers good, reverse, just because it's so slow, I think it needs a little more tension, so I am gonna cut that out so it moves a little bit better, further. I heighten the risk of wrecking stuff, but I guess I'm willing to gamble it. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, real nice. Turned out pretty slick. Once I get the bottom wrap around and the brush guard, this thing is going to be quite the unit. So I wish I had something to tow. I guess I could tow one of them, but it's too cold. I'm going to get this video uploaded and go from there. Share, subscribe, and like, comment. I like to see all the comments. It's one of one. Probably going to be the only one ever. So some people are asking what the chassis is. It's a Nodwell FN60. They built them in Canada. They're actually relatively available in the Midwest online. You can find them kind of on government auctions and stuff. They're around. Tracks are so-so, whatever, no big deal. But yeah, there it is. Hope you like the video and keep the subscribes coming in the comments. For anyone going to record games in Utah, I will be there myself, but not with this. I wish this was gonna go, but it's just too far to go. Logistics aren't working out, but I will be there to spectate and bystand, see what the buzz is about with off-road wreckers, because I guess I'm new in this. But hope you like it.